Well, there we are. Here we are, I should say. Not there we are. Here we are. The last show before we head out to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I got a little ticker thing going on above there. And pretty exciting times. The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit is the biggest Final Cut Pro event in the world. Happens once a year in Cupertino, California, which just happens to be the home of the Final Cut Pro team over there at the new Apple Park. I call it Spaceship Campus because it reminds me of a big spaceship. Other people have as well. Got our first comment here. Hello from Jamaica. Absolutely. Here editing in Final Cut Pro. Let me just see. Make sure we're on. Hello from Montreal, Quebec. Absolutely. Our friend Daniel, who's a big supporter over there at buymeacoffee.com. He's donated, I think, a few times over there. Pay for my coffees for the Creative Summit. It's appreciated. Absolutely. And our friend Sean Beckner, who's a woodworker, does woodworking videos over there on Instagram. And Luke, bonjour from Quebec, Canada. So we got two people from Quebec. Luke's coming to the Creative Summit, right, Luke? If I'm not mistaken. So I will meet you for the first time there. Good evening from Denmark. Evening, so it's only 10 o'clock in the morning here. What time is it in Denmark? Luke says, yes, he'll be there. Absolutely will be there. Very cool. I don't think I've met you prior at a prior summit, but who the heck knows? Sometimes the memory I don't remember everybody's name and everything. So it's exciting times. It's exciting times. Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, 4 p.m. in Denmark. Okay, so that's 6 hours. Cupertino, California, here we come. Final Cut Pro 11. That's the question. Is it going to be Final Cut Pro 11? We don't know. We don't know for sure. I think there's a good possibility it will be Final Cut Pro 11. I'm not going to be disappointed if it's not. As long as we get an update, there's no disappointment there. I just think that it makes sense since Logic was 10.8 and 6 months later it was Logic Pro 11. It jumped from 10.8 to 11 in 6 months. Final Cut could do the exact same thing. Now, we'll know something Wednesday afternoon, just after 2 o'clock. We get into Apple to see the Final Cut Pro team right around 2 o'clock. Listen, it's a great, if you have any inkling of going to the Creative Summit, absolutely go there. There are some cheaper hotels available if you don't want to spend the money for the Juniper, although everything's going to be happening at the Juniper. But there are some cheaper hotels, from what I've been told, in Cupertino, within a mile or so of the Creative Summit. And you could stay at a cheaper hotel, get an Airbnb, stay with a friend, whatever, and then just buy the ticket. The ticket's $5.99, but if you use this code, you get 15% off. FCP Radio TV, you get 15% off, which drops the price from $5.99 to like $509. Almost $100 you'll save. Use this code right over here. FCP Radio TV, 15% off. I'm telling you, this is a once-a-year event, okay? Once-a-year event. So, and it's the biggest Final Cut Pro event in the world. Now, there's millions of Final Cut Pro users. 4 million, 5 million, maybe 6 million at this point. a few hundred people typically will go to the Creative Summit. So if you can't go, that's fine. If you can't go, that's completely fine. Follow this YouTube channel. I'll be broadcasting. I'm going to broadcast, I would say, a half a dozen or more, probably closer to 8 to 10 live streams while at the summit. I'm going to start, if things go as planned, you never can tell. If things go as planned and I have time, I'll start a live stream when I'm at the airport getting ready to board the plane, because I usually have about 2 hours. I get there 2 hours, over 2 hours ahead of time to make sure there's no snags. And so once I get through once I get through TSA, I'll sit down, relax, find a nice quiet location if I can, and open up a live stream, let everybody know what's going on. The whole idea is I want to give you a virtual window into the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. So I'm going to poke up that virtual live window as many times as I can. Not for an hour, like we're doing these live streams. No, it's just for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When I'm in the hotel room, they'll be longer. When I'm in the hotel room, they'll be like these. But that'll be in the evening, 7, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, PM, maybe 9 o'clock, depending on what I'm doing. And in the morning early, because I get up, drink some coffee, get myself together, go through footage that I shot the day before, pick out some clips, and I'll do another live stream in the morning, probably about 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 to 7 a.m. So subscribe over there at the YouTube channel to be notified when we go live. Our friend over there, I know buddy over there on X, a little late today. Okay. So we got some things to talk about. Having received a 5K Samsung monitor, I would not mind if the next version of Final Cut Pro would let me combine the timeline on a second screen with another window like the scopes. That would be interesting. Yeah, customized window layouts would be great, because I like customized as well. Pick up what I missed later. You didn't miss a whole lot. We were just getting started. That would enable me to watch the quality of my HDR videos on the mini LED screen on my MacBook Pro. There you go. Good evening, Richard, from Helsinki, from our friend Jari Innanen. Some interesting things coming to Final Cut Pro. Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's 3 things that we know of that are coming to Final Cut Pro. Probably next Wednesday. Probably next Wednesday. And people keep saying, when's the next update to Final Cut Pro? And I keep reiterating to them, Wednesday, November the 13th, just after 2 p.m. Now, they think I'm kidding sometimes. And they do an LOL. What, 2:05, 2:10? I said, just after 2 p.m. Because that's what they did last year. We went into the Spaceship Campus. We go to the presentation. They introduced the new version of Final Cut. What else does Final Cut Pro? This is the Final Cut Pro team. So we go into this room inside the Spaceship Campus. First off, they have fantastic spread when you go in there. They have coffee. They have tea. They have waters. They have Cokes, Pepsis. They have cookies. They have other little finger foods, this complete beautiful spread. This is at Apple, the Apple campus. So I think we normally get, if I'm not mistaken, we get the presentation first. I think, yeah, we get the presentation first. And then after the presentation is for everybody, the group of people. So the presentation is for average 150 people. That's kind of the average of who pays to come to the summit. Maybe between 150, 175, maybe 200 with trainers and people that are demonstrating things and the staff at FMC. And we all get to see the presentation first. Now, after the presentation is over, they usually split us up into two groups because they don't have enough people to attend to 150 to 200 people. So they split us up into two groups. One group goes into the demo room to see whatever they've shown us, the new version of Final Cut, in the demo room with the Final Cut Pro team members. The other group goes to where the food is. I think that's what happens. They go to where the food is, and I don't mind either one. I mean, if I go first or if I go to the food, that's either one's fine. The food is fantastic. It's really, really cool. So that's what you're missing if you don't come to the Creative Summit. Plus, you get to meet the Final Cut Pro team twice. The first is on Wednesday at Apple Day at the Spaceship Campus. The second is on Friday afternoon for the Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team that ends the summit Friday afternoon. So Yari says, good evening from Helsinki. Some interesting things coming to Final Cut Pro. We know three things. We know there's a magnetic mask because we saw that in the Mac Mini demo. They showed the new version of Final Cut, and in the drop-down menu, they showed the magnetic mask. Don't know what that is, but it was in there. They showed something to do with translate to captions or convert into captions. I'm not sure. We don't know how that works, but that was in there. That's what she demoed with the Mac Mini video. And the third thing we know is there's going to be Apple Vision Pro editing in Final Cut Pro because Apple announced that a year ago. Well, almost a year ago. 10 months ago, they announced Vision Pro editing will be coming to Final Cut Pro in 2024. It's 2024, we're going to have Vision Pro editing. I won't be using that. I'm not editing anything for Vision Pro. I'm not that interested in Vision Pro editing at this point. It just doesn't interest me at all. I'm not going to buy a Vision Pro. I have no intentions of editing projects. If somebody says, can you edit this Vision Pro project? I'll say yes, of course, and then I'll learn how to do it. I'm not really interested in it at all. However, that doesn't mean I don't want people who want Vision Pro editing to have it. I do. Absolutely, I want Vision Pro editing to be in the next version of Final Cut Pro. Just because I don't want it doesn't mean I don't want it for people who do want it. And there are some people who want that. So for you, absolutely, I want Vision Pro editing in the next version of Final Cut Pro. So, laughing out loud, more like cheering out loud. Well, what I mean is they think I'm kidding them on the time. I'm being so specific on the time, they think I'm making a joke or I'm just guessing. I don't think I'm guessing. I think I'm applying what happened last year and the years before. Geez, seeing nothing but outrageously fast results for editing effects on an M4 MacBook Pro. I may move to M4 Ultra Studio when it's announced. Absolutely. I might as well, because I got the Mac Mini Pro. I got the top of the line everything, except I didn't get 10-bit Ethernet because I don't use my Ethernet port now. Why would I get 10-bit? I don't use it now. I don't use it for anything. So I'm not going to get 10 times not using it. So I don't need a 10-bit Ethernet port. I'm not getting a NAS. I'm using Thunderbolt 5 for all my connectivities to my RAIDs and to I have an LTO9 Pro. I have a Pro LTO9 tape deck now. That's Thunderbolt. It's fantastic. So once I got the wrinkles worked out, it took me 6 weeks to get the wrinkles worked out. It's working great. I'm making a catalog of these LTO9 tapes. Each LTO9 tape holds in the real world about 16 terabytes. So it holds about 2 8-terabyte hard drives worth of data. I'm really liking that. So that's my storage for long term. And then I have a 56 terabyte RAID 5, which is any projects I'm working on in the near term. I'll keep them on there. Plus, I have a backup on at least one spinning hard drive. 3 backups: LTO9 tape, my RAID 5, 56 terabyte RAID 5, and an HDD. Oh, I have 4 backups and an spinning 8 terabyte HDD. And number 5 is Backblaze. So the spinning HDDs, hard drives, and my 56 terabyte RAID 5 are backed up on Backblaze. Not the LTO9 tapes. I don't know how to do those. That doesn't make a difference. It's redundancy 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So I think I'm in pretty good shape for that. I don't need a NAS. It never interests me. I'd rather have a direct connect RAID with Thunderbolt. So my point is I don't need a 10 terabyte or I don't need a 10 gigabyte Ethernet port. I'm not going to be used. I don't use the one I have now. So now, somebody said, well, what about future-proofing your Mac Mini? I don't need to future-proof it. Here's my future-proof plans. I'll sell it next year and buy a new one. That's my future-proof plans. If I needed a 10 gigabit Ethernet and I didn't have it, I would sell the one I have and buy one that had it. But I don't intend to use it, so that's why I didn't get that. Good morning. I got my new Mac Mini and I'm very happy. Can I run LumaFusion on a Mac Mini? How much is Final Cut Pro? Yes, you can run LumaFusion on a Mac Mini, but it is the iPad app. You can run LumaFusion on a Silicon Mac, but it's the iPad version that's loading. But you absolutely can use it. They have a small team dedicated to the Mac version, $29. Final Cut Pro is $299, but if you're in education, either instructor or student, you can get all 5 Pro apps for $199. If it was me and I was just starting out, I would register for a class at a local college and then buy the educational bundle. $199 gets you Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, Compressor, Motion, and Sound Stage, all of them for $199. No restrictions. It's the same version that I have. That's what I would do. As a matter of fact, when I got Final Cut Pro 10, when it came out, I had Apple coupons. So I got it for 10% off, maybe 20% off, something like that. And I've had it all these years with no additional cost. The Mac Mini Pro would be a no-brainer buy for me if I used my Mac to earn money for a living. Saw a video where it was somehow 5 times faster using Topaz Video AI than a 16 M1 Pro Max. It does some things faster, but it doesn't do other things. The M4 MacBook Pro Max is a step up in the M4 line. And it does something faster than like the M2 Studios and other things the M2 Studio does faster because it has, from what I understand, more encode engines in it. So we'll have to just see. But anyway, yeah, I got the M1 Max Pro, the M1 Pro Mac Mini because I don't need screens. I don't need keyboards. I don't need a mouse. I don't need a trackpad. I have all those things right here with my MacBook Pro. Now, I have a 34-inch LG monitor, 34.5-inch LG monitor, Thunderbolt, that I'll be using with the Mac Mini as my main monitor. I have some kind of a generic monitor over to my right that's like 28 inches, I think, diagonal, so it's fairly big as well. And then right below me, I have my MacBook Pro, which is powering everything right below me. I intend to keep that exact setup when I get my Mac Mini Pro. The two monitors up top one will be Thunderbolt, one will be HDMI. The MacBook Pro, from what I've been reading, will be able to connect to the Mac Mini via AirDrop or some kind of a wireless connectivity to the MacBook Pro. So I'll keep the exact same setup that I have visually, which I really, really like, when I get my Mac Mini Pro. It's coming a week from Friday. No, today's Saturday. I think it's a week from next Friday is when they say it's supposed to be here. So we'll see. It might come early. Will Final Cut Pro Vision Pro editing work? Final Cut Pro Vision Pro editing work with other VR headsets? No idea. No idea. I just need auto captions in Final Cut Pro and I'm good. Alista, our friend Alista, says that. Jumper is a great app. You should at least try it. There is a free trial available, just saying. So I looked at that, Yari. I have looked at the videos, and it looks, you're recommending it. That's good enough for me. Chris Hawking is involved with that. That's another good thing. It seems a little bit on the pricey side. That's my recommendation. That's my observation. Whether you go with a subscription monthly fee, or if you buy it outright, which I appreciate, isn't it $199 or $299 if you buy it outright? To me, that seems a little pricey. And at this point, I'm waiting. I'm not buying anything until I see what Final Cut Pro does. And Black Friday sales are coming up. Thanksgiving in the United States is in a couple of weeks. Man, we got a lot of, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We got, within the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing Black Friday sales in the U.S. So I would say wait for the Black Friday sales and wait to see what Final Cut Pro update happens next week. Wait for those two things before you jump in. But it looks really cool. It looks very, very cool. And you're saying you've been trying it, so that's a high recommendation for me. Third-party effects plugins for Final Cut Pro. Well, good question about that. Eric Emmerich says, third-party effects plugins for Final Cut Pro for iPad. They said it's coming, hope, next week. They will update Logic Pro. They will update the iPad version of Final Cut along with the Final Cut Pro update. They'll do all three of those like they normally do. It may be iPad version 3. It could be if they jump from 8 to 11 for Final Cut Pro, it wouldn't surprise me if Final Cut for iPad goes to version 3. I think it's at version 2 now. And Logic is already at 11, so it'll be 11.1, 11.2, whatever they can want to do with Logic. I have no idea what they're doing. I have Logic and I love it. The M4 Pro should also be twice as fast as exporting a Final Cut Pro compared to my M1 Pro 16-inch. I am, however, just an amateur who likes working in Final Cut, so I have the time to wait. Well, I'm using my... Here's what happened. When they first announced the MacBook Pros and the Mac Mini Pro, I ordered a 16-inch MacBook Pro Space Black M4 Max chipset. They offered me $1,335 for my existing M1 MacBook Pro. So I made that deal. Over the subsequent couple of days, I got to thinking and I said, you know what? I don't want to trade in my MacBook Pro. I like this a lot. And if I keep this MacBook Pro, I don't need another one because I'll take this one to Cupertino and to NAB. Let me get the Mac Mini. So I canceled my MacBook Pro order and went online and got the Mac Mini. It was half the price The MacBook Pro without a trade-in was over $6,000. The Mac Mini was like $2,900, something like that. I got all the options except I didn't get the 8 terabyte SSD. I got the 2 terabyte SSD, and I'll tell you why in a minute. 2 terabyte SSD, but everything else was and then everything else was topped out. Maximum 64 gigabytes of RAM, whatever the top CPU, GPU, whatever that was, the max version. I got that, and it was like $2,900 versus over $6,000. And the reason I got the 2 terabyte SSD is this. Apple charges to go from 2 terabyte to 4 terabyte. They charge $600. They charge $600 to go from 2 terabyte to 4 terabyte. $600 for 2 extra terabytes. No. What I'm doing is I got a 2 terabyte for the base operation of the Mac OS and applications and stuff, and I'm going to get the OWC 6 terabyte Thunderbolt 5 SSD for $600. So for that same $600 to go from 2 terabyte to 4 terabyte, instead of having 4 terabyte on my Mac Mini, I'll have 6 terabyte, 50% more, 50% more for the same money. The Thunderbolt 5 SSD by OWC, they said it goes 6,000 megabytes per second, same as the internal speed of the iMac Pro. Of the Mac Mini Pro. So this is not a portable. I'm not taking this anywhere. I'll set up my Mac Mini. I'll plug the 5 terabyte SSD into it, and it'll stay in it, plugged in. It'll just stay plugged in. So I'll have 6 terabyte for the same price Apple was charging for 4 terabyte. And I can also add a second one at some point, but it's Thunderbolt 5. I was very excited when they announced Thunderbolt 5. So I can get Final Cut Pro Motion instead for $299. Where can I find that bundle? You can get it for $199, not $299, $199 if you are a student or a teacher. It's the Apple Education bundle. Now, to me, if I was just starting out and wanted to buy Final Cut, I would enroll in a class at a local college and get my EDU email, because I think that's what you need is an EDU email, education email. I would enroll in a class that I wanted to take, get the identification that I'm a student, and buy the educational bundle for $199. That's what I would do, personally. Richard, have you tested the speed of your RAID 5 HDD? Yes, I have. It's about 1,000 megabytes per second, 800 to 1,000 consistent. It's a Thunderbolt 5. I have 8 hard drives in it, but one of the hard drives as a RAID 5 is used for redundancy, so it's 7 spinning disks, and I consistently get 800 to 1,000 megabytes per second. So that I can work off that drive easily. But when I'm working on small projects, I work on the internal drive on the MacBook Pro because it's faster. When I get my Mac Mini Pro, it's going to be 6,000 megabytes a second speed. I'll work off the 4 terabyte Thunderbolt 5 SSD for most of my small projects. Anything 500 gigabytes or whatever, I'll keep them on the 5 terabyte The Thunderbolt 5 SSD, 6 terabyte. That's what I'll be using. And then the 2 terabytes on the Mac Mini will be for operations and caches and whatever. That's what my plan is. When I get done, I'll transfer them to my RAID. I'll make an LTO9 backup, and then I'll erase it from the Thunderbolt 5 drive. Do you use a KVM switch for multiple computers? Nope. Nope, I don't. And I'm not planning on it because I'm only going to be using the Mac Mini Pro. My MacBook Pro, once I get the Mac Mini Pro, will just be for display purposes. I'll just use the display because I'm used to looking down here and seeing a display. So I won't need a KVM switch. My custom order MacBook Pro M4 Max, 16 core, blah, blah 8 terabytes. Man, that's expensive. To go from 4 to 8 terabytes was $1,800. $1,800. Now, once again, I can get a 4 terabyte Thunderbolt 5 SSD from OWC for $600. So for $1,800, I can get 12 terabytes instead of 8. But you gotta manage it better. Listen, if my MacBook Pro was my main machine and I traveled with it all the time, for example, I was the post supervisor down at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. for over 8 years. I took my MacBook Pro with me every single day. I edited on it. My MacBook Pro was faster than the machines I had at the National Archives. Plus, I had all my personal plugins, et cetera, et cetera. So I took it with me every day, and I worked on that. If that was the case, if I still did that, I would get the MacBook Pro with at least the 4 terabyte. I don't know. I don't like springing for that 8 terabyte when I can plug a Thunderbolt 5 drive in. And it's super, super fast. But we'd have to see. I don't have that situation now. This MacBook Pro stays here, except for twice a year. The Creative Summit, next week, next Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be taking my MacBook Pro, packing it up, taking it with me, and NAB in April. Those are the only 2 times presently that I take this MacBook Pro out of my studio on the road. Yeah, congratulations, Scott. Absolutely. It's exciting to get a new Mac. I bought the education bundle over 2 years now, never regretted it. Absolutely. It's the same thing as what I got. I got a 1 terabyte M2 Max 16, but edit off of external as cards, SD cards. You edit off the SD cards? Sean, you edit off of the SD cards? I would always make a copy and edit off the internal drive or an external drive. Expecting Final Cut Pro 11 with auto captions, but it should be in titles, not the regular captions. We'll have to see what it is. We don't know. We've only seen the little drop-down menu. And she said something about convert to captions or whatever. So have to see what's going on there. I have several Mac Studio Ultras and usually stay 1 year behind on the operating system. Are the new Sequoia features important enough to improve productivity in Final Cut Pro? I would suspect there are going to be some features in the new version of Final Cut that will require Sequoia. But it'll run on even Intel Macs with older Mac OSs. So that's typically what they do. I would imagine some of the features will require Sequoia. And of course, anything you order with M4 is going to require Sequoia. You can't go back on the Mac OS. I really can't wait for the Creative Summit. Please, will it be a big update? Keyframe controls are missing, better color correction, better audio mixing, hopefully some AI features. I certainly hope it's going to be a big update, especially if they jump from 10.8 to 11. There's no sense in jumping from 10.8 to 11 if it's not a big update. But they're bringing us from around the world to Cupertino, to their home. I suspect it's going to be a big update. I mean, here's the thing. It may not be released next Wednesday, but we will be able to preview it and post on social media about it. Plus, here's what happened last year. Last year, they showed us 10.7. First time anywhere in the world that was debuted was at the Creative Summit. As soon as we saw it in person, Apple on their website put it up. New version of Final Cut Pro 10.7. These are the features. It's coming out by the end of the month. So it didn't come out at the Creative Summit. We just got to preview it. It came out at the end of the month. It came out the last day of the month. When Apple says the end of the month, they pretty much mean the last day. The last day. So I think the same thing will happen again. I mean, I think, what am I doing here? I think, let me just, I should have locked that. There we go. I think if it's not released on Wednesday, it'll be out at the end of the month or before the end of the year, which would mean somewhere before Christmas. If I wasn't on the road as much, or if I had a desktop, I would stick to 2 terabyte, maybe even 1 terabyte. There's something to be said for having your projects in a single unit. I absolutely agree. 4 terabytes, what I have on my MacBook Pro. Don't regret it. But the fact that this new Mac Mini Pro has Thunderbolt 5, and the fact that OWC has these drives, and other people will too, Thunderbolt 5, true Thunderbolt 5 drives that are 3 times as fast as Thunderbolt 4 drives. And OWC says real world speed tests, it's the same speed as the internal SSD on the Mac. Real world, not just figures on a piece of paper. That's pretty darn exciting, and that's pretty darn fast. So that is pretty cool. You use your RAID 5 HDDs for master project editing and archive and storage. Do I understand you correctly? I use my RAID 5 for 2 things. If it's a larger project, it'll live on the RAID 5 and I'll edit on the RAID 5. It's plenty fast enough to edit from my MacBook Pro, Thunderbolt connected. But I also will keep my hard drive fairly empty on my MacBook Pro. Like right now, I'm emptying my hard drive on my MacBook Pro so I have room at the Creative Summit to store new video files on it. And I'm emptying my Crucial, this is 4 terabyte SSD. I'm taking 2 of these with me. So anything I film at the Creative Summit, I'll have 2 copies. 2 copies. At least. I'll make 2 copies on these tiny little 4 terabyte USB-C SSDs. But I have to empty these out. I'll empty these out on my RAID 5. I'll empty these out to LTO9 tape, and then I'll erase them. So I'll have 2 almost empty. I'll have 8 terabytes, redundant 4 terabytes to back up stuff I record at the Creative Summit. So I use the RAID 5 for multiple reasons. Number one is for large active projects that I'm doing, because small projects that I'm doing, I just use on my internal SSD. I don't need to go to the RAID 5 for that. But larger ones, say a couple 100 gigabytes, I'll put them on the RAID 5. Even though modern SSD externals are small and light, sitting in an airport lounge with 3 drives tethered to your Mac is a drag. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I would just edit off the internal drive or just have one. This is 4 terabyte. This is no big deal if I got to tether this to my MacBook Pro. I can tether it to my iPad Pro when I edit with LumaFusion. Not a problem. Not a problem. These are tiny. But I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't want 3 drives. No, absolutely not. I'd be like an octopus. I'm working with educational license of Final Cut Pro and the entire suite since 2015. Never used Motion and Logic, but it was a good price for all. Absolutely. It's a great price. It's a great price. You think we're getting magic mask similar to DaVinci? They call it magnetic mask. At least in the thing what we saw, Apple called it the magnetic mask in the new version of Final Cut. So we'll have to see. If they bring it to 11, they're going to move to 100% subscription model. Mark my words. Wrong. You're absolutely wrong. There's no evidence at all that they're moving 100% to subscription model. That would be that would create a completely outraged Final Cut Pro community. Completely outraged. If they pulled something like that on us at the Creative Summit, no way. No, it's not going to happen. I will mark your words, and when they don't do subscription, you're going to buy me a coffee. How about that? Let's go back to this a second. When they bring it to 11, they're going to be moved to 100%. Subscription model. Logic went from 10.8 to 11. No subscription. No change. It's free for existing users. Final Cut, that's a pro app. Final Cut will do exactly the same thing. Did you find that the update from 10 to 8 to Logic was a great update considering that you're using it? I use Logic for a few things. I'm not an extensive Logic user. I don't use the MIDI parts and programming and all that. And it wasn't a giant improvement, but it did have some major improvements. I think Final Cut will be larger. Eric says he thinks it'll be released next week. You do a Blackmagic speed test the Sandusky can support 4K and 4K. You do journalist format, so it has the backup. Typically, I try a SanDisk. I'm not a big fan of SanDisk. Aren't those the ones that had all the corruption? Also, less wear and tear on your internal SSD with reads and writes as your media can live on the external. I have Apple Care on all my Macs. Any Mac that I use this Mac on a daily basis. I just keep Apple Care. So if the SSD goes up, they're buying me a new one. And it's backed up. Everything on my SSD is backed up 2 times or 3 times. Once to an LTO9 tape, once to an LTO9 tape, once to the RAID and or a spinning hard drive, and once to Backblaze. So if the SSD drive goes up, Apple's buying me a new one. To answer Tisk's, I would say as a light user of Logic, that to me, it at least didn't feel like a very big update. To me, it could have been Logic, not 10.9 as well, too. I don't disagree with that. I found it curious that they jumped from 10.8 to 11. Now, maybe there's underpinnings under there. Maybe they just wanted to get away from 10.x. Maybe they wanted to get away from Logic Pro X, Roman numeral X. They wanted to go to 11. It seemed curious to me they jumped from 10.8 to 11. I was shocked. And it seemed more like 10.9. Hopefully Final Cut will have some very cool features that if they go to 11, it'll be worth it. It'll be big. Apple just acquired Pixelmator Pro. I love Pixelmator Pro. Bet they're not making this move without a bigger plan in mind for their Pro apps. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if that's going to be a separate app. They're going to do a Pro Photos app. They're going to take it into Photos. They're going to use parts of it for Final Cut. No idea what the heck they're doing. I hope the price of Thunderbolt 4 decreases with this new Thunderbolt 5. Going forward, I will not be buying anything but Thunderbolt 5 devices once I get my Mac Mini Pro. Because even if you buy a Thunderbolt 5 drive, if you use it in a Thunderbolt 4 Mac, it maxes out the Thunderbolt 4 bus. It's as fast as the Thunderbolt 4 bus can go. At least the OWC one. So there's benefits getting the Thunderbolt 5 drive, even if you only have Thunderbolt 4. I won't be buying anything but Thunderbolt 5 drives going forward. I have half a dozen USB-C 3, USB 3.2 drives, little SSDs, a couple of Samsungs, a couple of those hard drives, spinning drives for backup everywhere. I couldn't afford the large disc at the time, and maybe someday if the edit is small enough, the main disc is awesome. But it's not much slower with the SD card with the Thunderbolt 4. I never edited off the SD card. Parsley Mathers says he'll buy 2 coffees if the Final Cut Pro, if it's 11 and if it goes to 100% subscription. Now, I never objected to a subscription model if they continue to give us the legacy model, the perpetual license model. If they have both, that doesn't bother me. That's not what I'm talking about. You said 100% subscription. No, that would be a disaster. That would be a public relations disaster for Apple and the Final Cut Pro team. Absolutely. Richard, take with you some tomatoes and vegetables in case of subscriptions. Why? I'm not sure tomatoes and vegetables in case of subscriptions enunciation. I'm not sure I get that. Just bought you 3 coffees using my real name and not the name of my YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Listen, coffees on buymeacoffee.com are like $5. I appreciate each and every one of you that buy coffees. Hold on a second. I absolutely do. It's important. I mean, it means a lot for a number of reasons. So here we are. Let me just go over here a second. Here we are. Look at this. Just bought me 3 coffees. Thank you. Thank you. When I get coffee over at the Creative Summit, I will absolutely bring up this screen and say, thank you. You just bought me 3 coffees or cheeseburger and French fries. There's a place around this Creative Summit that has really good cheeseburgers and French fries. So I'll be stopping up there as well. And this person bought me a coffee because I recommended Daisy Discs when they were on the X platform and asked me about a media management on the App Store, and I told them. Motion VFX Cine Studio is going to be in trouble if Apple releases a magic mask for Final Cut Pro. So I've noticed some of these plugins are getting more expensive, and I'm not going to be buying them. If I see something on sale that I like, I'll buy it, but I'm not paying full price unless it's something that I really, really blows me out of the water. Pro apps are a major pull, or a massive pull for hardware sales, and add excellent value to the Mac platform. Turning key apps into subs will shoot themselves in the foot. So it won't happen. Absolutely spot on, Richard. It won't happen. I don't think it will either. Listen, they're bringing Final Cut Pro editors from around the world to this special event, and they go, surprise, subscription only going forward. Oh my God, what a disaster that would be. What a disaster that would be. No, they're not going to do that. It would be shocking if they did that. Mine's just too small. I turn all rendering off, and I'm using plugins like mTractor and Monitor. Edits can get above 1 terabyte for render everything as I go. I don't render anything as I go. I never render. I mean, 99% of the times I don't render. If I have a special effects heavy segment that I have to render, I will render that one segment, but I won't render, never render. Your hard drive's only 1 terabyte. Should have bought bigger. I will next time. Well, here's the thing, Sean. Just get one of these Thunderbolt 5 drives. They're fantastic. They're very, very fast. They're 4 terabytes for $600 OWC. They're not even out yet. You're right about using a Thunderbolt 5 on a Thunderbolt 4 or 3 device, but it is not a shame if you can save some money. I'm only buying Thunderbolt 5 drives going forward. And if this Thunderbolt 5 drive, the one I see from OWC, is as good as they say it is, and I suspect that it will be, I'll buy another one. I'll have 2 of them. I'll have 2 Thunderbolt 5 4 terabyte drives to use with my Mac Mini for current projects. I don't need them for long-term storage, just for current projects. I will also not be buying Thunderbolt 3-4 drives from now on, as I have 4 gigabyte Thunderbolt 3 that I have yet to put in use. Bought it after half price for future use roughly 6 to 9 months ago. I bought a few drives myself. My daughter is in the USA on holiday with a friend. Hearing here complaining about the prices on food makes me think you are entitled to support. Thank you very much. It's appreciated. Look, this is episode 90. I've done 90 of these Final Cut TVs and coffees over the last, I think we start 2 years in January. 90 of these shows. I put each one's an hour to 2 hours long. Thank you. Motion VFX has both a mask plugin and auto caption plugin. That's the way it goes in Final Cut Pro land. Find Apple launches built-in features that kill plugins all the time. Yeah, I'm not worried about third-party plugins features showing on Final Cut Pro. Never, sir, render. There you go. If you only buy top SSDs instead of buying 2 SSDs less expensive and not ultimate because backup is mandatory, don't take risks that you can't shoot back events most of the time. So I back everything up. I have an LTO9 system. It's very expensive. It's $6,500 for the drive, which is basically it's a computer with a drive in it. The LTO tapes are expensive, but they're a third of the price of buying regular hard drives for backups. So I'm really satisfied with it. That's crazy. They're bringing all the Final Cut Pro editors together for an event and they're going to introduce a subscription model. No, that would be a complete disaster. That would be a complete and utter disaster. I can't see it happening. I tried the OWC one time and it was randomly disconnecting. You let me know which model to try next time. Sean, I had the exact same thing with an OWC drive. The exact same thing. It would just randomly disconnect. And I kept going around and around. They took it back. OWC is a great company, but it kept randomly disconnecting. I agree with you. That one. The one I'm talking about is the brand new one, Thunderbolt 5, and it's a 3-year warranty. So let me pull that up. Let me just see if I can pull that up. Let me back to external drives. I haven't had any problems with my 8 drive. Where is that? That's kind of new. Oh, I know where it is. I have it over here in my, have it over here. This is the one that I'll be getting from now on, unless there's another company that comes out with one that's same price point and same kind of warranty in Thunderbolt 5. So first and fastest Thunderbolt 5 portable SSD, over 6,000 megabytes per second, not megabits, megabytes per second, 2 times faster than Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4. And so it's $599 for 4 terabytes, rugged, blah, blah, blah. It's not, not that big a deal. Weatherproof, ultra convenient, ultra silent. These are the real world speeds that they're getting. And that's one company. And maximum performance, over 6,000 megabytes per second. Thunderbolt 4 over 2,800 up to 3,800. So it also is very fast on Thunderbolt 4, like I said. And the warranty, I'm pretty sure it's 3 years. I am pretty sure it's 3 years. Yes, 3-year warranty on the thing. So if you bought it, it doesn't work, they will take care of it. If you bought it and it had any kind of a problem, like within the first couple of weeks, they'll just refund your money, maybe up to the first month. I would notify them immediately if there was, and I will be testing it out when I get one and let you know. But if there's problems, then I wouldn't recommend them going forward. Right now, this is the one I'm going to buy because OWC is a great company. They stand behind your products, and you can talk to a real person if there's any issues. I love Neat Video Filter, third-party plugin, but I will appreciate the new version of Final Cut Pro will contain a good filter for noise correction, maybe with machine learning. I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, I use Video AI, what is that, Video AI? The other one, simply because it upscales. As you're cleaning up the video, it'll take standard def to HD, it'll take 1080p to 4K while you're cleaning up the video. Now, it takes a long time, but I like to upscale anything that's below 4K. And I have so it's 1080p, 720p, or standard def. I usually double the resolution while I'm cleaning it up. I don't think that Neat Video upscales, does it? If I'm not mistaken, it does not. It just cleans it up. Apple will not go into subscription for Final Cut Pro because that would let DaVinci Resolve the only option as a subscription model on the App Store. I don't see that. You would have a revolution on your hands if you did that at something like the Creator Summit. As an option, perhaps, But they updated Logic Pro from 10.8 to Logic Pro 11. They did it in 6 months. No mention of a subscription. Why in the world would they not do a subscription from 10.8 to 11 with Logic Pro, and they would do it with Final Cut Pro? No. Makes zero sense. Especially at the Creator Summit. Especially at the Creator Summit. I wish they added more Thunderbolt ports to the Thunderbolt 5 docks. Looks like the new docks are stuck at 3 as well. That's because of the specification of Thunderbolt 4. I mean, 5, it can only support so many ports downstream. I know what you're saying, but if I don't need Thunderbolt, I have an OWC Thunderbolt 4 dock here that has 3 Thunderbolt ports. And like right now, I'm plugged into my cam link for my camera into a USB-C port. As long as nothing else is plugged in, it works fine. I can add more USB-C ports. That's not a problem. That's as fast as the main drive. That's what they're saying. Yes. That's exactly what they're saying. It's fast as the main drive. Topaz Video AI. That's what I've had. I had it for years. I really like it. In my knowledge, Neat Video only cleans the video as you said, right. So Topaz Video AI has a lot of different algorithms you can use to clean up, but it'll upscale at the same time. It'll upscale while you're cleaning up, and I like that, especially with standard def. If I shot something in 1080p, I double the resolution while I'm cleaning it up. Would you stop using it if it went to subscription? Well, it depends on how they do it. I would be very likely to stop using Final Cut Pro at that point as a pro test and go to DaVinci Resolve and LumaFusion. It depends. If it went to subscription only, yes, I'd be very likely to do that. I would stop using it. If they let us use our legacy version, I would probably continue to use that. It's not going to happen. Okay, I'm not worried about it. It's not going to happen. Offering it, like I said, Logic Pro, 10.8 to 11, no subscription, no mention of subscription. The Final Cut Pro team was told they know how we feel about subscription. The Final Cut Pro team is watching right now. We'll give the congratulations to them. No subscription for Final Cut Pro, period. No subscriptions. We won't tolerate it. But I don't think you want to do it anyway. You know how we feel. We told you multiple times. So would I stop using it? I would use it less. No, I would not pay for a subscription to Final Cut Pro. I would not do that. I would keep using the version that I have now until it became unfeasible. And I'd use LumaFusion on my iPad Pro, and I'd use DaVinci Resolve that I've already paid for, DaVinci Resolve Studio. I would use Final Cut Pro less, and I would not get this subscription. No. You'd lose me as a long-term customer. I'm not worried about that. It's not going to happen. Dear Apple, I don't mind paying to upgrade for Final Cut Pro 11. Offer a package deal to upgrade to 11. It includes a permanent license for Final Cut Pro for iPad. And the future users can choose to pay for major upgrades. Nobody would mind that. If they needed to charge for Final Cut Pro 11, first off, they're not going to do that either because they didn't for Logic Pro. And if there's going to be a charge for Final Cut Pro, a one-time fee, just let us know in advance. Don't spring it on us. I can't see them doing that. That would be the team. First off, the team wouldn't be in charge of that. Final Cut Pro team, it would be Apple corporate. I don't see that happening either. I think we're going to get the next update to Final Cut Pro, whether it's 10.8.5, 10.9, 10 or 11. This is going to be continue the same thing that they've done in the past is going to be free. They keep doing sales of Final Cut. They didn't stop. The sales for Final Cut didn't stop. If they jump to 11, that'll spur new sales as well. Now, they could jump to 11 and maybe bring the price down. Jump to 11 and say, hey, new price, $199 for Final Cut Pro. That would be fantastic. Sabrent, who normally sells SSD enclosures, are also planning on releasing a Thunderbolt 5 SSD with the same performance numbers as OWC. Yes. I only mention OWC because they're the first. And the problem with Sabrent, I have Sabrent equipment, you don't have personal connection to the company like you do with OWC. If I have a problem with an OWC drive, I can call them up and I can talk to a real person and I can start a ticket. Sabrent, who am I going to call and have that kind of connection? That kind of connection. I'm not against it, but for something like SSD drives, I'm going to stick with OWC because I have a direct connection to the company and I can talk to a real live human person, a real live person who happens to be human in Chicago, and they're in the United States. So I can understand, we can understand each other, the time zones are the same, et cetera, et cetera. And doesn't have a 40-page license agreement. 40-page, CapCut has 2 30-page agreements that you agree to when you use CapCut. So 60 pages of licensing and end-user license agreement, and 60 pages, I've downloaded them, that you're agreeing to if you use CapCut. Yes, absolutely. I have Topaz as well. Which setting do you use for cleaning noise when upscaling? The new version of Topaz, I just use their default. I do a 2-second clip first just to see if it's what I want. Maybe do it twice. If it's not, then I'll go in and start adjusting the settings. I use the default settings and it seems to work 80%, 90% of the time. Listen, Pro Apps team, we don't want subscriptions. We tell you right here, absolutely. The price point is not the main reason why we use Final Cut Pro here, so for me it doesn't matter. But for lots of people it does matter, Luke. Lots of people it matters. It matters to me. That's why I haven't tried Final Cut on the iPad, because of the subscription. It's not the $4.99 a month. That isn't nothing. It's the idea of a subscription. We hate subscriptions. Not for small developers. Not for small developers. Ecamm Live is a subscription. It's 2 brothers that are up northeast United States. I like their product. I do subscription. But they have monthly bills for streaming live because I'm streaming to them and then they're streaming it out to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter all at once. So they have ongoing expenses. Lumberjack Systems, our friends Phillips and Greg, I don't mind paying them a subscription if they need it. I don't mind at all. There's a couple of other apps that I pay subscriptions. Apple doesn't need it, okay? Apple is the wealthiest company in the world. Give us an option to buy the iPad version and I'll buy it. Even if I don't use it, I'll just buy it to have it. Don't do subscription only. Now, here's the good thing about the Apple subscription while I'm saying that. It's $5 a month. It's $5 a month. It's extremely, extremely affordable. Not only is it only $5 a month, they make it simple to manage subscriptions in your iCloud account. Drop dead simple. Anything that I can subscribe to through Apple and my phone, I do, because I just go to subscriptions and I can turn them on and I can turn them off. I can turn them on and turn them off. So the Apple $5 a month for iPad is extremely fine. Cost-wise, not a problem. I still want the option to buy it outright. I just don't want. This is what subscriptions are like. This is what's happening all over the place. And I'm not going to support third-party plugins, these big third-party plugins that are doing subscriptions. No. I'm not going to support your subscription model, period. Not going to do it. Small developers, I don't mind. The big guys, no. Give us the option. Do you care about your customers? Do you care about your customers? Your customers will tell you 30%, 40%, 50% don't want subscriptions. Listen to your customers if you care about them. If you don't care about them and just brush them aside with subscriptions only, that's on you. I won't support a company that does that. That's what Adobe does. Adobe doesn't give you any choice. You're going to pay a subscription or you're not going to use our products. We don't care what the customers want. Hogwash. I will never support a company that does that. If they'd go for a subscription, I don't mind, because that just means you're doubling the effort to improve. There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence whatsoever that going to a subscription model will double their effort to improve Final Cut Pro. No. Why wouldn't they be doing the maximum? Why wouldn't they be using their ability to improve Final Cut Pro without a subscription? Why? Why would they holding it back intentionally for subscriptions? No. I don't buy that. I just don't buy that. I'm already using Resolve for some of my work. I definitely would ditch Final Cut Pro for good if they went to full subscription only. Yes, I'd continue to use the legacy versions that I have now, and I'd make it even a more aggressive effort to go to DaVinci, but I don't see it happening. They know the way we feel. Millions of people. You would have a rebellion on your hands in the NLE world. I'll pay $149 as a one-time fee if need, but please not subscription. I would say $99. If they need to inject some new cash into the ecosystem, let us existing Final Cut Pro users upgrade for $99. That's completely fine. Nobody minds that. Most people don't. He canceled his CapCut subscription. Nobody. I mean, you're probably right. They wouldn't announce it there because of a potential backlash, a huge backlash. If they go subscription, an announcement on a keynote makes more sense. 10.3 was previewed at a keynote. So it was indeed. 10.3 came out the day before the Creative Summit in 2016. It came out, Apple event, 10.3 at a keynote. And then Final Cut, because I was at the airport going to the Creative Summit when the keynote happened, and the woman said, by the way, that's the new version of Final Cut Pro, and it was 10.3. I remember that. No, there's no evidence. 13 years, no subscription. The iPad version of iMovie, first off, I wouldn't pay $4.99 a month for Logic. If I needed Final Cut on the iPad, I would pay $4.99 a month here and then unsubscribe and come back to it a little while later. I would just do hopscotch different months. I wouldn't keep it running continuously. Darius says, we have enjoyed 13 years of free Final Cut Pro updates and upgrades. No one can complain about a charge of, say, $9.99 for existing users to upgrade. We'll pay $19.99 for the package deal. I agree. I don't even mind, but here's the thing with the Final Cut Pro team, because they do watch this. We'll give them accolades because I'm going to be seeing them next week. I want them to have goodwill towards all. We love the Final Cut Pro team. That's not the issue. Don't even think about subscriptions. Get it off the table. If you need us to talk to Tim Cook, let us know. We'll take care of that. It's very interesting that so many Final Cut Pro users are scared from the option of subscription, but there aren't any relevance to this. I don't understand why there is this great fear between us. The internet. That's why there's great fear. This happens all over the spectrum of the internet. People are afraid of things that aren't real. Okay? I'm a dedicated Final Cut Pro user. I'm not. Subscription doesn't even enter my mind. It just doesn't enter my mind. People talk about it. We can talk about it for sure as an option. If they said the new version of Final Cut Pro, you have the option of going subscription, or existing users can continue. You can buy it outright for $299, or they can lower the price to $199. Or they can say, okay, we have to charge existing users, if you want to keep your perpetual license, $99 after 13 years. That's fine. That's fine. No subscription only. I wouldn't mind if it was subscription features such as sharing libraries through iCloud, but software should not be subscription. Yeah, the iCloud thing, I mean, just like I buy iCloud storage, I think 100, 200 gigabytes. Is that what it is? I'm at that tier, so I don't mind that if I needed that. Just like I said, with Ecamm Live, I'm sending them a signal. They're sending it out to YouTube, Facebook, and X. So they have an ongoing monthly cost associated with it. I don't mind that. So I pay that subscription. Plus, it's very reasonable. I paid for upgrades to Final Cut Studio twice. I did too. I pay a flat charge for 11 if necessary. Yes, but I don't see it happening. I think just like Logic Pro 8 to 11, no charge. Same thing with Final Cut Pro 8 to 11. Now, because I think they should tell us in advance. The next version of Final Cut, there's going to be a charge. Okay. Tell us in advance. Don't just spring it on us as a surprise. Maybe an official communication of Final Cut Pro team about no subscription could be useful. What do you think? We talked about subscriptions last year at the Final Cut Creator Summit with the Final Cut Pro team. Of course, they can't make any commitment one way or the other, but they heard us. And I think they hear us loud and clear, and they hear us on this podcast loud and clear. So I don't think they can make a well, once again, if they're going to, tell us in advance. Don't spring anything on us. That's the main thing. Always give us the option. We're professionals. Give us the option to buy a perpetual license like we have been. If Apple offers the purchase of Final Cut for iPad, I would buy an iPad, which I currently don't own. Yes, I would buy the app on the iPad, even though I probably wouldn't use it as much. I have LumaFusion, and I like Final Cut, especially I'm getting a new M4 Mac Mini Pro. I'm going to be editing on that. I know people inside Apple, Final Cut iPad is only the beginning. Subscriptions are coming. It's just a matter of when and how. Right, but you said Final Cut Pro 11 at the summit is going to be subscription only, and I'm saying there's no way. I know lots of people. You've made predictions before that turned out to be wrong. I think it might have been subscriptions prior, something. If Apple wants to lose customers, go subscription. That's fair warning. If you want to lose customers, go subscription only. It ain't going to happen. It is not going to happen. Some point in the future, if they can transition to it, that's fine. If you care about your customers, listen to your customers. If you care about your customers, listen to your customers. Your customers do not want subscriptions. Your customers don't mind paying for a perpetual license. If there needs to be an upgrade that you charge for, that's fine. Perpetual subscriptions are just a ransom. Just a ransom. Here is one way I don't mind subscriptions, okay? There's a couple of products that I use that have subscriptions and I don't mind them. I use Waves plugins, okay? I bought the perpetual license. When I get to the end of my Waves update plan, I can no longer update the Waves plugins until I buy a new Waves update plan. But I can continue to use the existing version of Waves plugins that I have. They don't turn it off because I stop paying a subscription price. I don't mind that. Don't turn my app off because I won't pay your ransom. If you say, okay, we're going to do subscriptions or a Waves update plan or whatever, and at that point, when your update plan expires or your subscription expires, you can continue using the app at that level. Just no new updates until you renew. I do that with Waves. I did that with Topaz Video AI. I do that with CleanShot X. There's a lot of apps that I pay subscription for, but they don't turn the app off if you stop paying the subscription. You just froze at that level. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when you turn the app off and it won't work because you want a ransom each month. I understand the Final Cut Pro team has to make money. I'm telling you how to do it. If you have to update the perpetual license, give us a one-time fee so we can continue to use it. Give us the option of a subscription. Do not turn the app off if the subscription expires. Just freeze us at that level. No new features, no bug fixes until you resubscribe. I don't mind that as much. But Apple, you've already 13 years. Come on. I paid roughly $200 each time I upgraded from Final Cut Pro version to a new one, pre-Final Cut Pro. So having Final Cut Pro upgrades for free since buying it should be really applauded. Absolutely. Absolutely. People are worried because the iPad version was released as a subscription. That was very, very disappointing. I don't know if it's disappointing the right word. It's very reasonable. $5.99 a month, very reasonable. Don't turn the app off. $5.99 a month, I can turn it on, use it 6 months out of the year, 4 months out of the year, and turn it off the other months. It's a really, really good subscription model. The low price and the ability to turn it on and off in your iCloud account. Apple is a service fee-based company. Music, Apple TV, iCloud News. Safari. Preview. Notes. Keynote. Pages. The operating system itself. Mac OS. Free. It's not just a service fee-based company. The majority of Apple apps are free. Not for a fee. Not for a fee. So I don't buy that. Part of the pull for iPhone 16 Pro Max is having Apple Intelligence. You can now have access to Chat GPT without needing to pay a separate $20 per month. It all adds up. HBO, you end up buying a small card a month. So I used to just let my Netflix subscription go from month to month to month to month, year to year to year. Once there were other options that I could look at, once Netflix kept raising their price, I don't do that anymore. I won't do that. I dropped all my subscriptions. I will wait until there's 5 or 6 or a few shows that I want to see on Netflix. I'll subscribe for a month, watch all the shows all at once, and unsubscribe. I won't let that subscription continue. But when Netflix was kind of the only one in town, I let it run over year after year. Plus, it was a lot more affordable. I noticed that Apple mentions Final Cut Pro more again, Creative Summit, Camera app, iPad app, auto captions, and Keynote, but I still think the communication could be way better. So yes, more communication is better, absolutely. I think the Final Cut Pro team is restricted by Apple on what they can say and stuff. So Apple corporate, Apple lawyers and stuff, yes, I think that's a reasonable statement, and I agree with you. An exclusive Final Cut Pro Editor 1 is always worried that it's not professional enough anymore, like the competition is always stronger. Better communication could help, absolutely. Nobody would mind better communication. But we're going to communicate with the Final Cut Pro team next Tuesday. Now, hopefully I'll get to ask them one question at the Q&A. Let me know some ideas for the one question I should ask. I'm not going to ask subscription. I'm not going to ask about features because they're not going to answer that. A more definitive question, and I'll see if I can work it into my question. Now, I wouldn't mind an upgrade fee for a major update, absolutely, but there is no mechanism built into the App Store to facilitate that right now. They'd have to do it manually as some sort of voucher. No, they would just do a new version of Final Cut. Just like ScreenFlow, they have ScreenFlow 8, ScreenFlow 9, ScreenFlow 10, ScreenFlow 11. When they do in the major update, it's a brand new version. So that's what they would do, I think, if they wanted to charge for it. But just let us know in advance. Let us know 6 months ago, hey, we're going to be charging for Final Cut Pro 11 in 6 months. That's all. Final Cut Pro via the new Ultra widescreen on Vision Pro is insanely good. Absolutely. I keep hearing that over and over again. It's not for me. I just don't like those big things in front of my face. I don't like that. That's not Minority Report. People keep comparing it to Minority Report. No. Tom Cruise did not have a big bulbous thing, octopus around his head. He was just, the stuff was just in the air and he was manipulating it. So I don't want to wear that thing. It's too much for me. If you like it, completely fine. Completely fine. And I want you to have the ability to edit your videos in Final Cut Pro 11. That gets me considering the Vision Pro. It's not for me. This is why I love watching your lives, Richard, because you're not afraid to speak your mind or say what you really think. It's good that I have this platform to do that. It's growing and it's growing and it's growing. I'm going to be professional about it all the time. I know people on the Final Cut Pro team. I've talked to them multiple times. I'll tell them this exactly the same thing. We all will tell them. If they mention subscriptions, the whole entire room would go, oh, there would be this giant voice of disapproval. They know that. It came up last year. I can't remember exactly. They didn't commit one way or the other, but the subscription question came up and they just wanted to know our opinions. They know it. We are afraid because this is the new way for so many services and softwares, and after low cost, at first they jack up their prices because they make you hostage in some ways. Grant Petty. Grant Petty has a free version of DaVinci Resolve. The studio version is a one-time fee of $2.99. The Final Cut, their Blackmagic camera app is free. They sell hardware, cameras, and hardware just like Apple does. You can't run Final Cut Pro without buying a Macintosh computer. $2.99 for Final Cut Pro 13 years ago is a tremendous value. We all understand that. If you need to make more money on Final Cut, get a new version with a lot, it has to be major, can't be minor, with a lot of new features. Give existing users a coupon to buy it at a discount and just start the charge cycle over again. But also, if you come up with Final Cut Pro 11, that alone is going to spur a bunch of new purchases right off the ground. Especially if you lowered the price maybe to $199 or $99 or whatever the heck. That would spur a whole new round with new features of Final Cut Pro 11. People that don't have it. My take, the subscription model will be implemented when Final Cut Pro needs to be constantly communicating with Apple's servers for certain AI features. That could be an option. You could have an option. It doesn't have to affect the entire app. I don't need it now to communicate with servers, and I'm editing fine. If there was a certain feature that needed to communicate that had to be a subscription add-on, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I wonder if the buy of Pixelmator means they would integrate the possibility to create your own LUTs in Final Cut Pro. I know you can create them in Pixelmator and import them in Final Cut Pro. That's correct. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Congratulations on ordering your M4 Mac Mini Pro. Absolutely. Looks like it's an awesome machine. Like I said, I originally priced out a Space Black 16-inch MacBook Pro M4 Max. It was over $6,000. When I added my MacBook Pro, they gave me $1,335. It knocked the price down to $4,000 something. That's pretty good. But once I ordered that, I said, I don't want to get rid of my MacBook Pro. I've had it all these years. It's a fantastic machine. So I went to take it off and the price jumped to $6,000. I said, no. If I needed it, absolutely. If I worked and took my MacBook Pro with me to work, absolutely I'd pay it. I'm not. This MacBook Pro has been a desktop machine for 99% of the use. It's been sitting on my desktop, powering everything, powering my live streams, powering my editing, powering everything that I do, except for twice a year, once at the Creative Summit, which I'll be leaving Tuesday, early Tuesday morning. So my first live stream on the road will be from the airport Tuesday early morning. And then when I get to Cupertino, I'll do another live stream or two from my MacBook Pro. I can also do it from my iPhone. I can also live stream on my iPhone. If Apple offered subscriptions for fast shared storage on the internet when editing in a Pro app, I think that would be okay, but not on an app running on a standalone computer. I canceled my Motion Array subscription, and then they said you can no longer use the previously downloaded content. Thumbs down on Motion Array for doing something like that. Thumbs down. remember when I was younger and was rather poor, and Adobe Master Collection was like $5,000 for me. It was unaffordable. Adobe CC was affordable, even though expensive. I understand that. I understand. Don't turn off the application if I don't pay the subscription. Let me keep the version that I have. That's more reasonable. Another proposal for Apple. Apple, are you listening to this? Final Cut Pro team. Another proposal for Apple: offer a package deal. When you purchase an iPad, you can purchase iPad for a one-time fee plus 2 years plus whatever. Yeah, if you had to say, okay, this new version of Final Cut, one-time fee will get you 2 years of updates. After that, you may have to repurchase a 2-year plan or whatever. Somehow that's better than a subscription. Good luck in Cupertino. I have to run. Good luck to all of us. Good luck to all of us. We all want to see the new version of Final Cut. Wednesday, sometime after 2 o'clock, we should have information. In the past, even if it's not coming out, it's just a preview, they've allowed us to post on social media. So we will be posting immediately. Plus, last year, not only could we post, Apple put it on their website. They announced Logic Pro earlier in the day, like at 10 o'clock in the morning. But they didn't announce Final Cut Pro. They said Logic Pro has been updated to 10.8. But they waited for us to see Final Cut Pro 10.7 in person. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what we're paying for, to be there at these special events. Can you ask them if they plan to make Final Cut Pro the best and professional in the market, or do they see a different niche in the software? We've talked about this in the past. They don't have one target for Final Cut Pro, one market. They probably have a dozen or more targets that they look at for Final Cut Pro. One of them is Hollywood, independent filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, college students, YouTubers, influencers. They look at all these fields, and they want to be the application for all these fields the best they can. They're not going to just go after Hollywood. They're not going to just go after influencers. They're going to update Final Cut Pro as they see fit. They told us that last time. We're going to do it as we see fit. We know the application the best. We know how it works the best. Absolutely. But you can still tell them what you think. You can still tell them via the feedback page. I have somehow managed to get the Prime subscription through Apple at a way lower price than through Amazon themselves, and somehow their latest price increase has not increased the price of mine. Well, that's fantastic. Vision Pro, what is that? It's been forgotten. I don't think it's been forgotten. There's some people that are interested in that. You make the Vision Pro sound like an alien face hugger. It looks like it's too big and bulky for me. I would not feel, I don't want that. I just don't want that thing, octopus, sucked in my face. I just don't want it. For you, it's fine. If you like it, it's no problem. And I want you to be able to edit in Final Cut Pro, as Apple promised. Can we talk again about text-based editing? Will we see it next week? If it's not included, think about asking. I would be surprised if they do a major update to Final Cut Pro and don't have text-based editing. It's just something that they're way behind on, years behind. I'd be surprised if they don't have text-based editing. Luke says he couldn't agree more. Yeah. I mean, I think text-based editing and captions and stuff kind of go together. I mean, look, right now, anything text-based editing I do, I go to DaVinci Resolve. I just edit it in all DaVinci Resolve. I can't imagine them doing a major update and not include text-based editing at this point. And auto captions and here, text-based editing, auto captioning, or whatever they're going to do with that. A roles-based mixer would be nice. Roles-based mixer would be nice. And there's some other things as well. Speaking of motion, I've been using it a lot more lately. It's very good. I hope it will get a major update with more effects and emitters. Round tripping with Final Cut Pro, please. I've heard that years. I've heard that for years. Motion's gotten this many updates in 13 years, and Final Cut Pro has gotten this many updates because it's much bigger. It's much larger. I don't think that many people are using Motion compared to Final Cut. Final Cut we know is probably 4 to 5 million existing seats right now. That's what I would guess. Mac rumors say Vision Pro don't have the chips to support Apple AI. I don't know if that's true or not. Don't know. Here we go. Look at this. This is the current view of the backyard. Now, let me pull this. These are the leaves below me and over here, this way over here, leaves everywhere. It's a lot of leaves. Oh, as a matter of fact, let me just do that. Here. I'm going to do that. Videos. Let me pull this up since we're talking about leaves. Now I got this new leaf blower that's fantastic. I got the leaf blower last year, and it's fantastic. It's very, very powerful, and I need it. I have an acre and a half of leaves I have to take care every year. So I think the ultra-wide option Vision OS 2.2 beta looks very interesting. Now we just need to decrease in price and weight. What brand of leaf blower? It is a Echo 90, it's a PB 9010T. Last year, it was the most powerful leaf blower in the world. When you kick that thing on, it weighs like 29 pounds. When you kick that thing on, it feels like somebody's pulling on your shoulder. The kickback is so strong. It's an incredible, but like I said, I have an acre and a half of leaves, a lot of leaves. There's a company that came multiple times. When I hire a company to do my leaves, sometimes I do that, 2.5 tons of leaves. They come with a 1-ton truck. They fill it up 2.5 times when they're done with my property. That's a lot of leaves. I needed that leaf blower. Let's go over here. We don't have to watch that anymore. It's the leaf blower. It's a heck of a leaf blower. It really is. Let me get over here. So I just did a Summit Master video this week. The biggest Final Cut Pro event in the world is happening in November the 13th through the 15th in Cupertino, California. It's my favorite Final Cut Pro event of the year. And we're back at the Juniper Hotel, which is a perfect place for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. November the 13th through the 15th. On Wednesday the 13th, we are going to Apple Spaceship Campus to get a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team. That's a great, great opportunity. Last year at the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit, we went to the Spaceship Campus. We got a presentation from the Final Cut Pro team, and they introduced Final Cut Pro 10.7 to the world. We got the debut in person right there at Apple campus. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Richard.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
He actually lives at Apple Park now.
It's true. I set up a camp, and they can't kick me off. I'm squatting. I have squatter rights.
So that's just a little promo that I did for FMC for the Creative Summit. So we have a couple. Have you tried strapping it to your back, pointed down to see if it will lift you? It won't lift me, but you don't need to run it full throttle. But when you run it full throttle, it actually pushes my shoulder back. It feels like somebody grabbed my shoulder and is tugging me backwards. That's how powerful the thing is. If Vision Pro doesn't support Apple AI, make it a bad buy at $3,500 for now, I think. I would be surprised if it doesn't. Now, Dylan Bates is not going to be at this Creative Summit. He says he missed this one. He's going to try really hard to make it next year. I met Dylan, FC Bro, Final Cut Bro at NAB 3 years ago. I met him there, and we've been friends ever since. So he's not going to be there this year. If you can possibly go to the Creative Summit. And if you can go, let me see. Here we go. Use code FCP Radio TV for 15% off at checkout. Now, here's one of the things. There's a deadline Monday, I think 12 noon Pacific. You have to buy a ticket by then if you want to go to the Apple Spaceship Campus, because they have to get all the names over to Apple. Apple has to approve of everybody, make sure they'll go through this basic information, make sure everything's copacetic. They need to know who's coming into their campus. So if you're going to go, get your ticket this weekend, 15% off at checkout, FCP Radio TV. You're a big dude, maybe it will work for little ones in the family. Irresponsible uncles are fun, absolutely. It's now time to make a time machine, and Final Cut Pro Library is back up before the big Final Cut Pro update, already done by me. So once again, last year they didn't give us the update at the Creative Summit. We got a demo of the update, and Apple that same day announced it'll be out by the end of November. So we had to wait 2 or 3 weeks before it came out. I would just suspect that would be the same kind of thing. They're going to show us the new version of Final Cut, whether it's 11 or 10.5 or 8.5, or 9, 10.9. They'll show us the version, demo it, and say it'll be out at the end of the month. It'll be out in 2025, which means before Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. Will there be workshops and training opportunities at the summit? Absolutely. 2 days. So Apple Day is Wednesday. Let's go over there and look at this at the Creative Summit website. We'll just do that real quick and show you what's going on. Right here. Here it is, the FCP Creative Summit. 13th through the 15th. Register now. Final Cut Pro community, blah, blah, blah. Apple Park, Visitor Center, Spaceship Campus, $299, but you get the discount. 15% discount brings it down to almost, saves you about $100. These are the people. Here we go. Right here. This is us. Final Cut TV and Coffee is a marketing sponsor and also Final Cut Pro Radio. So I'm the only one that has both of these. I have a podcast, Final Cut Pro Radio, and my YouTube channel, Final Cut TV and Coffee, and FCPX.TV is my website. It's the longest running Final Cut Pro website in history. 13 years we've had that website. So if you click on this is actually linked to FCP. Here we go. It's linked. Final Cut Pro podcast, Final Cut Pro Radio podcast, Final Cut TV and Coffee is my YouTube channel, but it's linked to Final Cut Pro TV. So so that's 3 things I'm doing in the Final Cut Pro community, and I'm doing more than that. So I have this countdown to the Final Cut Pro Creator Summit. 3 days, 21 hours, 42 minutes, and 9 seconds. It's right there on the page. Right there on the page. There's the stuff. There's me at Juniper Hotel. There's looks at the lobby, is what the lobby looks like at the Juniper. I don't know if it's the same carpeting. I have no idea. It's been 5 years since we've been there, but I know what the basic layout is. This is a bar we go to at nighttime. I don't drink, but people that drink I buy a Coke and everybody can hang out there at the bar right in the Juniper Hotel. So let's go back Let's go back to the program. Here's the program. Coffee and registration first thing in the morning for an hour or so. Welcome and chat. We'll go over all the details of the trip to Apple because there are restrictions. You can't bring big cameras. You can't take pictures and video because of employee privacy. There's a lunch break. Shuttle to Apple campus departs promptly at 1 o'clock. There'll be at least 2 buses, maybe 3 buses. Apple Park visits and events. See, it says 2 o'clock, Apple Park visit and events. So sometime after 2 is when we're going to find out about the new version of Final Cut. First shuttles at 5 o'clock. 3 hours later, we go back to the Juniper, or you can go to Apple Park Visitors Center. I'm going to probably go, if I'm not too tired, I'm going to go to the Visitors Center. There's time for 45 minutes. And then we go back to the Juniper Hotel. And then in the morning, on Thursday morning, is Michael Cioni's speaker. Jeff Greenberg, Steve Martin, Ian Anderson, Nick Haraz, Shamir Ali Bai, looks like Jeff Greenberg again, Mark Spencer, Jen Jager, Daniel Robert Cohen, Nick Haraz, Jen Jager. So Fitness Plus apparently uses Final Cut Pro for all their videos. I didn't know that, but apparently they do. This is a very cool event. Networking Expo Night. I like that event a lot. And then Friday morning, making media accessible for all. Multicam editing from Steve Martin. iPad to Mac. Cinema therapy case study with our friend Bradley Olson, who's going to be speaking at that. Trevor Horton as well. Get found on YouTube with Jen Jager. Anywhere post. Sam Messman and Jeff Greenberg. Sam didn't speak at the last Creative Summit, but he's going to be speaking at this one. Automatic Duck, West Place. To be announced. This one's still open. It's kind of interesting. Daniel Cohen again, Ian Anderson, Mark Spencer, Tyler Stallman. I follow him on X and YouTube and stuff. He has some good tutorials. He's going to shot on iPhone, edited in Final Cut, commercial production, workflows in the Apple ecosystem. And then this one, dialogue with Apple, Q&A with the Final Cut Pro team. That ends the summit. That's a really, really good opportunity that you don't get anywhere else. You can't book a session with the Final Cut Pro team, except if you come to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. And if you're going to come, and make sure you get your tickets before Monday at 12 noon Pacific, because if you do it after that, you can't go to the Apple campus. They have to clear everything ahead of time. They have to have a list of attendees ahead of time. Got to have it in by Monday. So get the ticket over the weekend if you're going to go. There's a couple of places you can stay. Cupertino Hotel, and there's another place, not the Juniper. Juniper is really expensive right now. So the Vision Pro has the M2 chip and 16 gigabytes of RAM, and both are more than enough for Apple AI if it does not support it. It must be a Vision OS related. The hardware certainly can support it. Is the Final Cut Pro team the same as the Motion and Compressor team? No, there's a Pro Apps team. There's a Pro Apps team. Logic, Compressor, Motion, now Final Cut for iPad, now Logic Pro for iPad, and then Final Cut Pro. The Pro Apps team covers all of those areas. When we go to the Creative Summit to Apple Campus, they'll be sitting in chairs. It's like bar stool chairs in front. There's a whole bunch of them that are there. So the Final Cut Pro team is different than the Pro Apps. They overlap, but there's different. Dylan Bates wasn't invited by Apple. Apple doesn't book the sessions there. Future Media Concepts does. Future Media Conferences does. They do all the booking of the different people. Apple might suggest somebody to FMC, but FMC takes care of all the bookings. So there must have been a conflict of some sort this year where Dylan was already booked. Maybe he was going on vacation somewhere else. I don't know. I knew about the Creative Summit back in May of last year because I'm a media sponsor with FMC, and we communicate behind the scenes a lot. And the initial dates that they had to change, and then they made it for 13th through the 15th. The initial dates, I had booked my flight, and then they came back and said, oh, we got to change the dates. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll cancel my flight and rebook, which is what I did. Why don't you tell about Main Stage? As far as a Pro app goes, that's true. It is one of the Pro apps. That's mostly for live musicians, I think. If you use Logic Pro Live, I think that's what it's for. I don't have Main Stage. All these years, I've never used Main Stage, so I don't use Logic Pro when my band plays live, the rare times that we do. So what are you going to do? Are you going to the Creative Summit? You should go to the Creative Summit. If you haven't made up your mind yet, please go to the Creative Summit. And don't forget, use code FCP Radio TV for 15% off at checkout. You can get an Airbnb in Cupertino. You can get one of the cheaper hotels and just walk to the Juniper. The Juniper is where everything's going to be. Let's go back over here. We'll see a little bit of the Juniper here. This is last year, not at the Juniper, when iJustine came in, and it's Ben and Megan. Philip Hodgetts.
Getting today. We're getting
10-7. 10-7.
Saving it for us 200.
Not live.
We give these secrets away.
It's not live.
This guy.
You're being filmed in ProRes Log. This is the first time?
This is the first time.
There you go.
What an amazing moment. Thank
It
you.
is. It absolutely is an
Thank
amazing
you for
moment.
capturing this moment.
Yes, this is the first time I've been filming ProRes Log.
Very good.
Make it. So that gave me a little bit of hope. And I just try to look back to like the industrial world.
The Australians are here.
They are. They dominate.
Yeah, I can find them through my own. I can
There are two Bill Davises This one was filmed inside of the Apple where the Pro Apps team were. This is two Bill Davises. They're both friends of mine. One's in charge of the Final Cut Pro team, and one's another Final Cut Pro enthusiast that we had on the show many, many times over the years. And I always made a joke about, I've never seen both you guys in the same place at the same time. So this is inside Apple Spaceship Campus. This is inside the room where we got the presentation. With permission, I said, can I get a picture of the two Bill Davises? And Bill Davis from Apple said, yes, well, you can go ahead and do that. So,
And I'm filming them in Apple ProRes Log right now.
I'm a little bit surprised by how many people showed up to hear me talk about transitions. And frankly, it gets them out of my hair. It keeps them busy while we're on the shoot.
I think it's been a really great creative summit, a lot of energy.
I am excited for the future of Final Cut Pro.
there you have it, the promo for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. If there's any way you can go, get a bunch of people and get an Airbnb. Get a bunch of people and get a hotel room for like two of you. Split it. You don't have to stay at the Juniper. The Juniper is expensive right now. But if you didn't get the group rate, it's expensive. But there's other hotels, from what I understand, that are within a mile or so for $100 and something a night or something like that. Get a double and split it. It's $50 a night or whatever, and just buy the ticket. If you're coming from overseas, I understand. It's kind of late. I would, but that would be expensive. But I'm from Austria. It's far. Yes, it's absolutely far. I completely understand if you can't make it, but I'll be presenting to you. I'll be doing live streams for you, for everybody in the Final Cut Pro community, for the millions of people out there. I'll be presenting, as I always have since 2016. This will be the 5th or 6th year, doing live streams. I'll be filming behind the scenes, and we'll have you'll be able to see what it's like being at the Creative Summit. What do you use for your band recording music and videos, I mean? I'm not sure. I use different cameras, different microphones, different recording apparatus. Since it's an integrated Pro Apps unit, I wish they would make it easy to access all assets from it. All apps, including music and sound effect, directly from the Final Cut Pro. Not having AI in Vision Pro wouldn't be a big deal for me because I usually connect it to a Mac Studio. What are your final predictions? My predictions are Final Cut Pro 11, at least a preview at the Creative Summit. I really am hoping for text-based editing. We already know we're getting some kind of a caption, automatic captions. We know we're getting magnetic mask, whatever that is. We know we're getting Vision Pro editing natively in Final Cut Pro. I'd also like to see that audio feature from the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max audio mix. Is that what they call it? I'd like to see the ability to export the video from my iPhone into Final Cut and being able to select the 4 different options in Final Cut rather than having to do the selection on my phone before I export the file. That's 4 things. Text-based editing, come on, Apple. You're like years behind everybody else. They've had it out for years, year and a half since NAB. It's really time. So I really hope text-based editing. Hopefully the Final Cut Pro team makes the demo available. I enjoy their presentations on YouTube. They don't, because you can't film. You can't film them. They don't film it. They do not film it. looking forward to your streams from the Creative Summit. Absolutely. I appreciate the audience when we do the streams. Audio features, yes. I'd love to see a roles-based mixer incorporated. That would be a big, big deal. What softwares do you use when recording your music, bands or otherwise, music video? Logic Pro. I used to use Digital Performer back in the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, but I switched over to Logic Pro once Apple took it over, and I've been using Logic Pro ever since. For those who haven't used it, Final Cut Pro's masking tools are great. Magnetic mask might be rotoscoping. I have AI by Motion VFX. It's mask. A 2-hour mask takes 2 minutes. There you go. I'm going to show you something. Let me pull this up real quick. All right, I'm going to show you a video, and this is a video of me playing at a nightclub years ago, probably 15 years ago, doing a song. And there's a reason why I'm showing you this. I'll bring it up. We'll play a little bit of it. Obviously, I was younger then. This is my band doing well, let's just bring it up. I don't want to play a lot of that because I don't know. I don't have any strikes on that song that's been out for like 10 years, but I don't want any current strikes on it either, so. I'm really hoping for some great things. If they go from 10.8 to, listen, Final Cut Pro is their biggest pro app by far. It's much bigger than Logic. It's much bigger than Motion, Compressor, Soundstage. It's way bigger than Final Cut on the iPad, Logic on the iPad. So it's their biggest one. I would think it would be a big update if they go from 10.8 to 11. If they don't go from 10.8 to 11, I'm not going to be disappointed. They're going to show us something, I'm confident. But I think it's probably going to be Final Cut Pro 11. It's just logical to me that it would be Final Cut Pro 11, since Logic went from Final Cut Pro 10.8 to 11 in 6 months. They did the exact same thing. Hey, did you mention the new jumper extension? Hawking had a hand in part of it. Yes. So there's a new extension. It's AI cataloging of your video files in Final Cut called Jumper. Yeah, there's probably some videos out on the web about that. Chris Hawking, our friend, was involved with that. Let me see. Let me go over here, see if I can pull that up. Very nice comment. So I'm not sure exactly how to describe it. You'll have to see it. But it is, let me pull it over here, see if I can find some more information about it. Jumper, there it is. I'll pull this up. So let's go here.
From one video editor to another. Listen up. This is big. How many hours have you wasted searching for stuff in your footage? You know what I mean. You have this shot somewhere, but where is it? Is it in the beginning of this one or maybe the end of this one? This stuff happens all the time, to all of us. Huge amount of hours wasted trying to find the right shot. Well, all of this now belongs to the past. Introducing Jumper. Jumper is a workflow extension integrated inside of Final Cut Pro and Premiere.
So I don't want to play the whole commercial, but you can find it. Jumper, it's an extension. Now they have two options. One is a subscription, and one is you can buy a perpetual license, but it's not cheap. It's either $199 or $299. It's kind of expensive. And they have a free trial, so you can try it out to see if it works for you. It looks pretty cool. You have to judge for yourself whether it's worth the money or well, I'm not going to get the subscription. I would definitely not going to do that. But unless you needed it for one big project, you have one big project coming out, you might get a subscription for 1 month or 2 months and then cancel the subscription. That's what I would do if I needed it. I noticed that keyframes in Final Cut Pro are X and Y coordinate independent, but it doesn't make that clear in the interface. It bothers me when I'm doing precise keyframing. You can do precise keyframing in Final Cut Pro? I can do it in Motion in the keyframe editor. I'm only kidding, of course. Keyframing in Final Cut Pro is like keyframing on an Etch-a-Sketch for you people that are older. I do like the animation lane in the timeline for doing bulk work, but you can't set the animation curve from linear to whatever that squiggly line is. You can't set it to linear. I always use linear. I really don't like the S-curve that they put on their motion keyframes all the time. 13 years and you can't set it to linear for the default. You have to go in, do each keyframe and check on it. Keyframe editing in Final Cut Pro 11 would be a big, big plus. Absolutely. Final Cut Pro Creative Summit seems so friendly, and here in Montreal, Final Cut Pro users groups was so friendly, and their monthly meetings now dead way above Avid, where it was never as friendly. Yeah, Final Cut Pro is a friendly community. So LumaFusion is as well. LumaFusion community is very friendly. Some time ago, go watch Stephen Wilson's Jr. Stand By Me cover on the Live at the Print Shop, possibly the greatest cover anything song I've ever heard. His guitar work is phenomenal, super unique sound. I really hope you get some other of the advertisement revenue generated by the annoying commercial breaks in your live stream today. They are more frequent than normal, but luckily easy to skip. So I put in conservative for the commercial breaks in these live streams. And the other thing is we've gone on for over 2 hours. That's why you're seeing more of them at this point. We've got 60 people watching us live right now. Let me see where that's spread out. More than that, X and YouTube, Facebook, like I said, doesn't report. They don't report the live streams while they're live. But when I go off of the live stream and I go to my Facebook page, there's hundreds of views. So we got over a couple hundred people watching live right now. I often do frame by frame keyframing where smooth is not an issue, except when I've adjusted X, Y frequently and Y sparingly. Now, I understand people that are into keyframing, which I am as well, but I just did it yesterday on the video. Do I have another video up here? Yeah, I have a tour of the Juniper Hotel for those that haven't been. Little tour of the Juniper Hotel. Starbucks across the street, and there's the Juniper across the highway. This is the lobby, the Juniper lobby. So all of the sessions are over here in these rooms. Let me just pull this up. Through these doors are where all the sessions are. And Expo Night, these doors are like separate rooms, and that's where all the sessions are. Over this way is like a patio area. That's where we load into the bus to go to Apple campus. They'll be parked out there in the parking area. It's a drop-off area in the Juniper lobby. This is a nice lobby area. There's the lobby going the long way. They have a fireplace going for atmosphere. And then we used to go to this place out here called the Boulanger. This is the place we used to have coffee and donuts and stuff, but it's closed. It closed down. It says permanently closed according to Google Maps. This is upstairs where the hotel rooms are. There's my room from 2019, probably. So I don't know if they've changed the carpet.
It's the prediction. They wouldn't have us all coming here, and they wouldn't have the trip to Apple unless something interesting was going to be said. That's my prediction.
They could. They absolutely could.
So here's the summit with
All these guys.
my peeps. Germany, Norway, Russia. It's really amazing. We have a truly international Final Cut Pro community.
I'm wondering if we can put that in the.
All right, April 1st, 1976, 1 point.
So that's the Juniper Hotel where all the sessions are going to be. It's fantastic. It has 2 or 3 rooms on the side there in the lobby where sometimes they combine them together. Like for the Final Cut Pro Q&A, they'll all be combined into one because there'll be too many people. Other than that, they divide the classes up into 2 different rooms. They have different sessions and things. Juniper is a great place for that, but you don't have to stay at the Juniper. It's expensive. I'm staying there, but you don't have to. There's other places within walking distance that are going to be less expensive, and you can just walk to the Juniper. But the Juniper has a restaurant, the Parkview. It has that bar there for evening get-togethers and stuff. And I'll be doing a PDF of different restaurants that are in the area. So, and it's going to be available. Let me go over here real quick. It's going to be available on we have a Facebook group over here called Final Cut Pro Creative Summit Attendees. That's where you could find out about it. This is different than the FMC group. This is just for if you're going to go to the Creative Summit. We have meetups. You can schedule meetups here. And look, we're on there live right now. You can schedule meetups here and Uber rides if you want to meet up at a restaurant. It's a private group. It's not a public group. So you have to request to join. And the URL is FCP Summit. The URL is facebook.com groups FCP Summit. If you want to, you have to request to join that in order to see what we post. But there'll be some stuff on there. I'm going to post a PDF of different restaurant recommendations and stuff just for the general area. But we haven't been there for 5 years. So I don't think the stuff has changed that much. I don't think the stuff has changed that much, but hopefully. Now having a 5K screen recording connected to my Mac, I think I'm going to start looking at some more of the tutorials. I have access to my MacBook Pro Vision subscription. Ian Anderson, some great tutorials for Final Cut Pro. Now I'm curious because I can't imagine a different way to manage my keyframe on Final Cut. I think it's very functional, the way of working. But yes, I'm an old school video editor. There, look at the keyframe editor in Motion. You'll see the sophistication that Motion has for editing keyframes versus the bare bones version that Final Cut has. Expensive hotel, but the wow looking factor is there for sure. So the idea is if you can get Airbnb in Cupertino, you can get cheaper hotels in Cupertino and walk to the Juniper. Stay at the Juniper all day. They're going to give us lunches each day. Let's include it in the price. You can stay there till evening and go to the bar if you want to, and then walk back to your hotel afterwards and come back the next day. That's, as a matter of fact, you don't even get, the Apple bus doesn't leave until 1 o'clock on Wednesday. You don't even need to stay overnight Tuesday night if you don't want to. You can get there Wednesday morning, show up the hotel, register at the desk, and you have to register in advance, obviously, and then you can still go to Apple Park. So you only have to stay Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then you can go home if you want to after Friday again, after the session. I'm staying longer because I got a longer flight. So there you go. That's my recommendation. Go to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit if it's possible. Use code FCP Radio TV, 15% off. Get an Airbnb if you have to, if that's what you got to do. So our friend Brett from Brett FX says, I considered the Cupertino Hotel at 0.9 miles away. How much was that room at the Cupertino? Somebody told me it was only $100 and some. That's really a good price because I think the Juniper is like $350 a night right now. I think. You have to check it out. I booked a long time ago, so I'm not worried about. I'm already taken care of. Our friend Spencer Lewis from Philadelphia coming in late and very happy with my new M4 Mac Mini. Absolutely. I can't wait. wait to get mine. That's the first time. I've never had a Mac Mini before. Obviously, I've never had a Mac Mini, M4 Mac Mini Pro. So I'm really excited to see. I'm hoping I can just unplug stuff from my MacBook Pro and plug it into the Mac Mini, and that'll be, everything will work. That's what I'm hoping. I will be experiencing the summit vicariously through your coverage. Absolutely. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be streaming live. I'm going to start at the airport Tuesday morning. I start at the airport Tuesday morning. So I'll just start as long as things go smooth through TSA and everything, as long as I have time, I'll set up a place, do a live stream. I'm going to do as many live streams as possible. I'm going to be doing longer ones in the evening and especially in the morning when I wake up in the hotel room. From the hotel room, that's where the main ones are going to be, but I'm also going to do short ones throughout the day. At the time, it was $179 versus $349, but rates are all over the place depending on unknown forces. I noticed that. They changed dramatically because when I first priced the Juniper prices back in the summer, they were cheaper. Now they're like $100 more, but what are you going to do? Apparently it's a high-end place. Bruce said, we'll see you there, Richard. Safe travels. Same to you, Bruce. Make sure you introduce yourself. All the people that are watching this, if you're going to the Creative Summit, please walk up and introduce yourself. If you want to be filmed, if you want to be on the live streams, don't be camera shy. Don't be camera shy. Come up and say hi to me and we'll have a conversation. The best thing about the Creative Summit is meeting everybody, talking to friends. I know Steve Martin. I know Mark Spencer. I know Philip Hodgetts. I know Brett from Brett FX. I know a lot of people, and we see each other. My two friends from Australia, Ian Anderson and Chris Hawking. Lots of people. Bradley Olson, of course. I co-edited Off the Tracks with Bradley Olson back in the day. That's when we became friends. Trevor Horton, Mike Horton's son. All these people. I know all these people. It's a fantastic event. You get the people you see on the internet. You get to walk up to me and just talk, have a conversation. I'm not shy. Look, I've been talking for 2.5 hours on this broadcast by myself. No guests except for you all. Once again, I'm going to get off here, but Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, Final Cut Pro team, the Pro Apps team. I can't wait to see everybody. The Pro Apps team watches this live stream. They watch it. They can't tell you that. They can't tell you that, but I know they do. I'm looking forward to it. Tuesday morning, I don't know if I'll do any other live streams this weekend. I might do a test or two. I've already done a couple of tests, but I took them down. Audio tests. I'll be using this camera for the live stream. This is the camera that I'll be using for the live stream for Juniper looks sold out? Really? Wow. This is the camera I'll be using for the live stream. It does a great job on these. This is strictly a streaming camera as long as we're on the same Wi-Fi. So I have a different setup than I had last year. Last year I had a little bit of a problem because my phones were, it's just a mess. It wasn't a mess, but it was not optimal. This year, I'm going to have this camera, which is the Mevo cam. It's strictly a streaming camera doing the main live stream at the expo night. And I have two iPhones. I have my iPhone 16 Pro Max and my iPhone 15 Pro Max. And I'm probably going to be bringing my Lumix S5 Mark II X as well in case any of the rooms are little dark. I'll use my Lumix, which is a great low light camera. But this is the camera I'll be using for the live streaming. I'll have 4 cameras. iPhone 15 Pro Max, iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'm going to turn my sticker, on. Here we go. This is my ticker tape little thingy there. I've had this all along, but I just configured it today. Final Cut TV Live, Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, Cupertino, California. Here we come. And this is good. This is going to be a good update for everybody, I'm hoping. We'll have to see next week. Don't forget, subscribe over there at YouTube. Like and subscribe. Absolutely. Brett FX says Juniper looks sold out. Okay, well, that's another reason to go to the other two hotels. You can find an Airbnb. Just search Cupertino Hotel. Find one that's within a mile or so of the Juniper. You'll be fine. You can walk a mile in 15, 20 minutes. No problem. If you've had too much to drink, get an Uber ride up, $5, whatever, back to your hotel at night. But the Juniper is the place where everything's going to be happening. The sessions are going to be there. You're going to get on the Apple bus there to go to Cupertino. We're going to have, FMC said they're going to be providing us lunches, at least for Thursday and Friday. I presume Wednesday as well. They did last year. So that'll be great. So Daniel says, question for the Final Cut Pro team, get us collaborative option using iCloud. They don't take feature requests. That's not the kind of questions they have. They want more operational requests. I could perhaps say, do you think collaboration via iCloud is something that you might be that might happen in the future? They won't give us a definite answer on that, but that's a good question. There you go. We've been on for 2 hours and 35 minutes. Final Cut TV Live and Coffee. Final Cut TV Live and Final Cut TV and Coffee. 90 episodes we've had. I'm going to see everybody either at the Creative Summit. If you're going to the Creative Summit, please come up and introduce yourself. Say, hey, Richard, I watch you on your live streams. I listen to you on Final Cut Pro Radio, the podcast. Whatever you like. That's fantastic. Let's hear it again for the Final Cut Pro team, for Final Cut Pro 11 or whatever you got for us next week. Absolutely. We want to thank the Final Cut Pro team, the Pro Apps team. They indeed work hard, and they're going to have hopefully some nice surprises next week. Final Cut Pro 11. Final Cut Pro 11, that's what I'm hoping for. Or Final Cut Pro 10.8.5, or Final Cut Pro 10.9, whatever you got for us. Hopefully it's a nice big update. All right, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. My name's Richard Taylor, as you know, and if I don't see you before, I'll see you next Tuesday morning from the airport. Subscribe over there at YouTube so you're notified when I go live. Subscribe over there at the airport so you're notified when I go live. Our friend Sean Beckner, go see his videos over there on Instagram and YouTube. He's a woodworker, absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And don't forget, you also can buymeacoffee.com. Over there, buymeacoffee.com/Richard Taylor. Let me pull that up. I'll pull that up from here. Copy, and I'll paste it in the comments section so you can go right there. Buymeacoffee.com, absolutely. You people have been great. Let me pull this back. You people have been great. I put it in the links on YouTube. Thank you for coverage. Take that out of there. Have fun, absolutely. Thank you. I'll be watching, absolutely. Where's your Buy Me a Coffee? I just put it up in the on the YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. There it is. Buymeacoffee.com, Richard Taylor. I appreciate it. When I have hamburgers, there's a place called Habit that I get. It's like an In-N-Out burger. They have good hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries. I like both of those. And I'll be eating there, not lunch because they're providing lunch, but maybe for one of the dinners after the sessions, I'll go there and grab. It's walking distance from the Juniper. It's walking distance. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, if you're going to go to the Creative Summit, use FCP Radio TV for 15% off at checkout. And I'll see you next week. Tuesday morning, if not before, I'll be at the airport and I'll start our first of half a dozen or more live streams from the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Thanks, everybody. You're absolutely the best. Let me give you this. You're the best. I have the best live audience for Final Cut Pro of anybody that does live streams. I'll talk to you later.